Why is it that the people that say they understand NFTs are the same people that when we were younger told us that they lost their virginity before they did? I'm not saying they're lying again. I'm just saying I need to do more research. At this point, I don't get it. My son, he went through his first power outage the other night. I laughed because he wasn't with me, thank God, and his story was devastating. I was extremely sad for him. He said he was shaking and screaming. He said he was up in a room by himself, and he had the TV on, and he was playing, and the light went off, and the TV went off. And so he got up and he tried to turn the light on, and it didn't go on. And he's never been through that before. So he didn't realize what was going on. And he said he just started screaming. He said he just started screaming as loud as he could. He said he just started screaming, and by the time his mom got there, he was just full shaking and had no idea. I just can't imagine. I literally don't even remember my first power outage. I don't remember the first time that I was at a place and the power went out, and it always comes back on. It was so weird even talking to him about it. It felt I can't take that as a given. It was so weird. And he even quoted a year ago, he was like that power outage in Texas. And I was like, yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, he remembers that. So he'd heard it. He'd heard it in the news. Like, he remembers it as a part of his life, because there was that large one that was obviously a big part of the news a year ago. And he remembers that, but he's never been through one, and he just now goes through his first one. And he said he was so scared, and it was weird talking about it with him, because like, even talking about it, I'm like, I had to like think about it for a second, because it's like, in my experience, it always comes back on. It always just eventually comes back on. And I was just like, we are not, as a family, for instance, prepared, unfortunately, if it doesn't. And I mean, it's a weird thing to think about, right? But I mean, as a kid, I guess I wonder, like, have you gone over that with your kids? Like, as a kid, did you have any pre-warning before the first time it happened? I remember one period of time where it was out for a period of days in the wintertime at my grandma's house, but they had, like, grown up in the Depression, I think, and, like, my grandpa was born in 1934, so I don't know when the Depression was, so I'm an idiot. I shouldn't say that, but he had grown up in a different time. So, for instance, they had a wood-burning stove in the house, and so, for instance, they were able to keep it warm, and they like thought it was ridiculous that we were like, we can't watch TV. And I don't know, that's the earliest one I can remember. But I'm curious if anybody has any good first time that they had a power outage, or just possibly like a good power outage story, because I don't think any of them can really be good. But I guess the thing I again always rely on is, like, the end of that story is almost always that it just came back on, right? And he was even complaining to me, because I was like, didn't you have anything that was charged? And he was like, yeah, but I couldn't access the internet because the router's out, right? So he's like, I can't. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, for instance, when we were kids, like, I guess maybe I had a Game Boy, and maybe I would have had it there, but other than that, he's like, we had to light candles for our light. And I only smile because, one, again, he wasn't with me, and two, it's not a real power outage situation that I had to deal with. But he went to school the next day, and his teacher she apparently, I guess it makes sense, everybody lives near the school, so that's not apparent, it's like, oh yeah, duh. But she had been through the same power outage, and she mentioned it, and he definitely wanted to talk about it. It's gonna be a thing that he remembers, quite apparently, but that's okay. He's such a cute kid. I don't know. It's been cold lately. It's man, I put him in so many clothes, and then like I feel bad, right? Because he goes into school and he's got an Under Armour shirt on, and then his normal shirt, and then a jacket on, and then a hoodie on, and I'm like, I know it sounds dumb, but there was periods of time when I was roofing, and I remember like it would just be like all of a sudden it was so hot, and this is years ago, like when he was probably just born, but like I'd have just same thing, like basically under like long underwear, or Under Armour heat gear, your normal clothes like a sweater, long socks, and then it's like after a while when the sun comes out and it starts to get warm, you're just like, why am I, you literally like you're angrier than you should be. Like all of a sudden, like you're getting irritated about things that don't make you irritated. You're just pouring sweat. And so like, it's weird. It's a dumb thing to say, but I feel like I have to remind them like, okay, if you're in PE and you get really hot, take off the clothes, just start taking layers off. I was like, it's all good. It doesn't matter. Just start taking stuff off. But I always feel like it's better to have more layers. I remember specifically days that I had been out without the amount of clothes that I need. Gotta love that. Gotta love that when your phone just goes off. You think I'd be smart enough. You think about eventually I would learn that like, oh, turn your phone on silent. Your phone can go on silent for a small period of time. But unfortunately, I still leave it on and you still hear that noise. And last time somebody called me, or some time ago somebody called me, and now I'm getting text. It was a text from my sister. I'm not going to read it. I should read it. Maybe I read it on here. It'd be probably more interesting if I read it on here. Probably not. It'd probably not be interesting. But no, it's just been super cold, and I don't know where I was going with that. I have this cold thing. I don't know. I wonder if anybody else has it. I doubt it. But like ever since I was younger, I don't know why. If my ears get really cold, and you know how like sometimes if you're just like, I mean, if you were in a plank or something, of course your arm might rub against your ear for some reason, or you may run into your ear. So I just don't know if anybody has ever had like where their ear is really cold, and then you want to like warm it up. Because like I've had this really weird thing since I was really young, and it's almost like pleasurable to like put my cold ear in between my index finger and my middle finger and warm it up. And I don't know what that is. And like sometimes I'll do the ring finger and the pinky finger. It depends on how I feel. But other than that, if I have a really cold ear, and like if I have a warm ear, there's no feeling, nothing happens. And I wouldn't say it's like sexual. It's just like it's like pleasurable, right? It's like something that not you, but me. I was wondering if anybody else, but like it's just one of those things that like I've always had. Like anytime I have a cold ear, I like to like put it in between my ears and like warm it up. And I'm not sure what that is. It's the weirdest thing, but it's just this thing that I've always had, and I'm like, I don't know. I just wonder if anybody like when I didn't moisturize them, they would get like super scabby up there. So I guess when I'd be grabbing them, it'd be like for me to realize like, oh my gosh, I need to moisturize my head. But as I got older, I realized I should probably put some like SPF at least of some kind, especially when you're like, sometimes like when it's super busy around in Colorado, like, and there's lots of roofing and stuff to do, we'd be out in the sun for like 7-8 hours, just like doing, roof after roof after roof. So then you're just like, and you're like, dude, that's just a normal day. But yeah, when you're getting like the sun beat down on you, and it's funny, one time I tried to wear one of those sun hats, and it was when my son was way younger. So it had to be like, I don't know. I guess it was when I started this job. So he would have been 4. So he was like 4 years old. And like, I tried to wear one of those sun hats, that like covers your ears and everything. And he was only 4 years old, and he just looked at me and he was like, take it off. No, he was like, no, you need to take that off. He's 4 years old, and he's like, do not wear that. Do not leave the house wearing that. He knows better. He's like, you look like fucking Dudley Do Right. You cannot wear that out. And so point being, I've always been like stupid enough to, be out in the sun for long periods of time and have like my ears, they would get, I don't know, pretty messed up, I guess is the point. But eventually I learned you got to moisturize your head. And I know that sounds stupid, but so many people, even my son, he still gives me a hard time because my hands are just so hard. And I know I've said that, but he just is like, dude, you need to moisturize your hands. They're just so darn rough. And he's like, you feel my skin. You got to feel my skin. It's and I'm like, no, I can't have your skin. I'll never have as soft a skin as you do. But yeah, I tried to wear one of those hats. It was not for me. I have like super soft ears though. If I like make sure that I actually like put enough moisturizer on them and like keep them moisturized, it's almost like they don't have enough cartilage in them. It's almost like if they have, yeah, like if there was an amount of cartilage that you had to have, I have the least amount of cartilage to possibly keep them up. You know, like for instance, when I was younger, I even like to like fold them inside of each other. Like I would try to like fold the top down and shove it in the inside, and then take the bottom and like shove it over that. And I bet everybody's like, no, dude, no, I cannot relate to that. I cannot possibly relate to taking my ear and shoving it inside my head to warm it up. But I don't know, maybe not. Maybe there's somebody out there that's like, dude, I've always warmed my ear up inside my head. I've loved to warm my cold ear up, but probably less likely. But no, you know, I think it's like that thing where it's like probably not that unique, right? It's like somebody out there has to feel like that. Most people too, they wear that damn Dudley Do-Right hat. I just can't possibly do it. I can't have that sombrero style hat that like keeps your neck and everything. Like it's basically one of those they're supposed to be like some sort of UV hat that like can handle a certain amount of sun, but it just makes you look like an absolute lunatic. I've had it forever. Like I've had it since, like, again, my son was born, and I had to be out on the roofs like all day long doing repairs and stuff. And so like I had this really stupid hat. But I don't know, it's like if I ever complain about zits, that's one thing that really gives you zits. It seems to be like having something on your forehead. My son told me the other day that I look like a wizard. I had I had a purple headband on my forehead just because, like, sometimes it seems like if I can keep my hair out of my head, it's going to be less likely that I'm going to get like a bunch of acne when I just sweat a bunch. And I know it sounds stupid, and he's told me so many times that I look dumb and I need to take it off, just like that Dudley Do-Right hat. But that's one thing where I'm just like, I'm going to keep it on just for now. And then he was like, dude, you look like a wizard. I don't know. I thought that was a good one because he's like 7, so he's pretty good at coming up with stuff. Sometimes he just speaks gibberish, and I'm like, no, dude, you have to come up with real words. I'm like, if you're gonna go out to say something, you have to. And if my mom held me to that, I would have been in super trouble. Super trouble's not a thing. I would have been in big trouble. I guess big trouble is what they say. I don't know. That was the title of a movie, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think that somebody's got to have that. Another thing that I have that I wonder if other people have is like just an absolute. Well, it makes me make this face. That's where we start. That's the easy part. It's like I just feel it's disgusting. But I think stickers are like the nastiest thing in the entire world. Pretty much anything sticky. Anything that's sticky, like bumper stickers, gross me out. I think they're disgusting. I don't like stamps. I honestly, actually, that's kind of a weird one because I don't really like the entire mailing process. Like something about licking a letter. Like for instance, at the around like Valentine's Day, this hometown that I live in is called Loveland, and they have this thing called the Loveland remailing program. And so, like for instance, people are all around the country, or maybe even all around the world, sending their Valentines to Loveland, Colorado, because they want the Loveland stamp, because they feel like if they send their Valentine the Valentine with the Loveland stamp on it, I don't know, it's the only thing they've got, I guess. So you gotta stick with your brand, right, and just go with what you got. But why was I talking about that? Oh, I can't remember. I truthfully do not know why I was talking about that. Oh, because like mailing, but like other than that, I can't even think why people do it. But that would have been a recent reason why somebody would have done it here recently. And I just licking the envelope, I think is disgusting. I hate grabbing the stamp off. I think they're so gross. Like my mom's so nice, she buys me like Star Wars stamps, and so they have like little R2D2s on them and all kinds of cool stuff that the people probably don't even care. They're like, why is this disgusting droid thing on my, what's wrong with this guy? Why would he send robots on his stamps? But hopefully they just think that most people don't put any thought into that. But my mom does. She thinks that's a nice thing, which it is. It's a cool thing. It's very thoughtful. It's nice of her to do that. But I just don't like sticky things. I think they're disgusting. I guess it's the idea that like the stickiness could have grabbed like some other germs, or it's like it's more likely to pick up something that's like undesirable, just like it would have you know what it is. This one time when I was in kindergarten, actually, there was this kid, and he came to school and he had a stamp on his hand. So like he had a stamp, and I think it had some sort of, it was probably an elk, but I can't guarantee that. It was some sort of like elk or deer or antelope or something of that kind. So this kid in kindergarten, I think his name was, we called him like Topher or something like that, but his name was like Chris, Christopher. So it was like, anyway, he had this disgusting stamp, and so I think it just ruined me forever, because like it would drop off of his hand and it would like fall on the ground, and then he would just pick it back up and like lick it and just smack it back on his hand. And I had to sit next to him like all day just watching that disgusting little stamp just constantly get just stuck to like all the hairs and all the most disgusting things all day, and then it would fall on the ground, and then he'd lick it and put it back on his hand, and it ruined me forever. Like I can't stand sticky things. They just make me, I just hate it. I can't do it. It's like, and being around kids is, it's like the stickiest thing ever. And I just, it gives me the willies, dude. It makes me want to just not be comfortable, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. But my friends, when I was in like 7th grade, they coated the inside of my locker door with stickers, and when I opened it, dude, I had a tantrum like a toddler that didn't get his way. I was absolutely just acting like a child. I behaved in a way that's completely inappropriate. Like I slammed my locker door, and again, this was 7th grade, so I shouldn't have to deal with the consequences from it, right? It was so long ago, but I just acted like a total child, and so I guess I've had that forever. But it's just one of those things that just completely grosses me out. It's just not for me. Like I said, even like bumper stickers, like I know it's like people trying to express themselves, right? Like they want you to know, like, I like the Dallas Cowboys, or I like whoever, you know what I mean? But I just, I don't know. I think it ruins a car too. I could say what I wanted. It's odd. I almost feel the same way, because it's like not the same thing. It's like more permanent, and I feel like it would make people mad, but it is what it is. And I know that people look really cool when they're covered in tattoos, so I'm not saying it's bad for like other people, but it's weird. I feel like the same way about like tattoos. Like I just could never possibly have a tattoo. I just don't feel comfortable with it. I don't know why. Probably because I'm a little bitch. People are like, yeah, it's because you're a little bitch, dude. Look at you with your fucking pink flowers on your shirt. That's why you can't fucking do it. Like you think you're gonna wear pink flowers on your shirt and then get a tattoo? Like, dude, nobody thought that you like tattoos. But I was like, no, I don't think that I just don't think they're for me. I don't know why. I guess it reminded me of it because like people, there's that dumb saying where people are like, you put a bumper sticker on a Ferrari, and I'm not doing that. But because if there's ever any connection to the things I say, if there's ever any ability to connect one sentence to the other, that was it there. That was it in my mind anyway. And if you can't follow along on that journey, I understand. It's not, you're like, dude, it's easy. We heard that before. It's dumb. Shut up. Keep going. I've been trying to play video games with my son. He got some video games and stuff for Christmas, and so I've been trying to play with him. He likes to have somebody else there to play with him, and honestly, I enjoy it. But I just feel like a total piece of shit when I play video games, and I don't know what it is. I have every single desire as soon as I start that I want to like increase the percentage on the game. Like I want to get better. I want to, as soon as they show me that, like, hey, you are 13% through the game, I want to increase that percentage. Like I want to go more, and they obviously do a really good job of keeping you hooked in. But the whole time I just can't help but thinking like I have obligations in my real life that I should be doing right now, and anything that I'm completing in here is nothing if I'm not doing these other things. And it's like, no matter what, there's always probably something that I can be doing, right? And I just wonder, does anybody else have that? Does anybody else have like a complete guilty conscience anytime they try to just like start doing something, especially if it's like playing video games? And the worst is like, I will always give myself the excuse that I'm like, if Breck asks me to play, if my son asks me to play, I'm like, I will go play. I'll just go play. But sometimes he gets bored really fast, and I get so bummed because I'm like, I can't play anymore. But I should just let it go. I know it's not a big deal. It's a silly thing, but They're addicting, man. I enjoy every part of it. Like I said, we've played Minecraft before, and it's super fun. It's super enjoyable just to be able to stack everything in the exact way that you want it, and to create the things that you want. And then, of course, we play like I shouldn't say of course. Nobody fucking. I don't know. We played like Lego games and stuff, which is really fun. It's similar, I guess, in the sense that you can like be creative and build stuff, but also cool that like Breck can play it and it's simple enough, and so that's fun. But yeah, I guess I can't think of anything else. I mean, of course, GTA I've played, which is super enjoyable, and Breck has that PS Plus or whatever. So it's like, man, I could see how people get addicted to this. But you're like, dude, we don't care. We don't care what your addictions are. We don't care that you're trying to not be addicted to a video game. No, but I'll be right back. I just went to the bathroom, and I mean, I'm not going to tell you about that. You're like, thank God. Jesus, God, what's wrong with you? But when I went in the bathroom, I realized that I had chocolate on my face. So if anybody was wondering like why I had brown stuff just like on my lips, it was chocolate. I don't know what it is, but like lately I've been pounding my face full of trail mix. Like I bought it for my son for his snacks. I got him trail mix so that way he can eat it for his school snacks because he really likes it. And it's like, of course, because it has chocolate in it. And it's the funniest thing. I would never, ever in my life allow myself to buy chocolate. I would never ever do it. But somehow, because it's peanuts and raisins, and it's like somehow I visioned it as a healthy thing, I will pound my face just full of chocolate. And like even the other day I was thinking like how embarrassing it would be. I was working out and I had to run into the kitchen for something, and I still grabbed a handful of trail mix and shoved it in my face. And I was like, dude, how embarrassing would it be if you died with these? And they're just like literally trying to do the autopsy, and they're like, oh, it was because his the medical examiner's going through, and he's like, oh, his throat, it's been completely clogged, and they're just pulling out like raisins and peanuts and chocolate out of my throat. And I'm just like, how literally how embarrassing would it be that this is how you go, that if you're out of here because you decided to shove your face full of peanuts. And I'm just like, gosh, it's a trap. It's a trick. I trick myself. I tell myself that somehow it's good. My son too, and like they even let him bring it for snack, which is crazy because it's like if you just gave him a bag of M&Ms again, they'd be like, dude, you gave your child a bag of M&Ms, what the fuck is wrong with you? But obviously somehow you put them in the trail mix and it's got peanuts and raisins in there, and everybody's like, yeah, I mean, it's made for activity. It's ready for the road. We're good. It's just it's unfortunate that I had a large amount still in between my lips that obviously I had pounded right before I started. So I had this like, I go to the bathroom and I find out, oh nice, I have a large amount of chocolate in between my lips. So that looks great. That's always a good, if you have a look that you're going for on camera, it's definitely to have as much chocolate as you can in between your lips. But what can I say? I'm lucky like that. I don't know. Nobody else probably has that video game feeling. If you do, you should let me know. You should write about it in the comments or send us an email. But basically, I just can't believe how much it makes me just feel completely like a piece of trash. Because it's like anytime they're like, mission passed. And I'm like, I have dishes to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I mean, I can't think of something else, but again, it's just like you want to do more. You're like, I want to go on to the next one, but you should either go to bed or, hopefully you're not doing it before work, but I don't know. It's so enjoyable, and yet it just makes me feel like a total piece of trash, and it's so weird. It's like, that's why I literally wonder how could possibly people do golf. I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, that's a great example. So video games, right? Like I don't allow myself like 2.5 hours to play video games almost ever, like let alone in a week. Like again, if my son wants to play, I'm like, okay, I'll play, whenever it is. Cause it's just nice that he wants to ask me, and it's nice that he possibly wants me to spend time with him. And so whatever it is, I'm like, okay, I'll play. But other than that, it's like I would never or shouldn't ever allow myself, or I don't feel like I should. I know it sounds stupid, but it's like I don't feel like I should allow myself to like play video games for like 2.5 hours a week. Like that sounds insane. But then like you think about somebody going golfing, and they're going to be out, if they just decide to play the least amount, if they just decide like, okay, I'm going to play 9 holes this week, 2.5 hours of their time. 2.5 hours. And then, like most people that are actually good and enjoy the sport, they're going to go out and warm up, right? And then it seems like a lot of them are going to hang out afterwards, right? So it's like, for instance, if you even decided to play once a week, you're going to be out there for the 2.5 hours to play. If you went out there to warm up, maybe an hour beforehand. And then if you just stayed for like 30 minutes after, 4 hours of your time, 4 hours for one day. And I just wonder, like, how can people ever possibly even say, like, I don't know. I was thinking the other day, and I met this guy, right? I had to meet this gentleman, and he had like 2 Beamers outside. He had a Tesla. He had one other car. I forget what it was. And this is just all the stuff that was outside of his garage. He had a big, beautiful home, had one of the nicest roofs that we ever put on. It's called a standing seam metal roof. It's just basically got a metal roof on it, but it doesn't have any external fasteners, so there's no screws on the outside. So sometimes over the long haul on metal roofs, the small little rubber washers on the screws, it can need maintenance, or they can need removed and replaced. And so, like, for instance, they have these ones that don't need removal and replacement, and so they're really high quality. So just an example, most people know how much Beamers cost, most people know how much Teslas cost. So this guy's got multiple things, and I'm like, man, he looks really young. He looks like he's like almost my age. And I don't remember why I'm talking about this at all. That's funny, I can't even think about it. But yeah, I don't remember why I brought this up. The funny thing I just thought was, like, I actually did end up looking him up, and he was actually younger than me, but he's I think I remember where I was going with this. He's a manager at a bank, right? So, like, he makes a lot of money. But my thought was, you would know for sure on just an average day, you're going to spend 5 days a week at 8 hours a day. And normally when you're the manager, unfortunately, you have to spend more than that. So it's like easy, you're going to spend, 40 hours a week there. And then, like, he had a 2-hour back and forth, because where I met him at his house, it was way up in the mountains. And so it was like I say 2 hours, but an hour one way, an hour back. And so, like, it's like this guy's got, say 10 hours. So if you just knew every day you have 10 hours is your work day, and then you come home and you have 8 hours to sleep. Say you want to sleep 8 hours. Say you want to try to get a good amount, which some people even say if you're really working your ass off, you might need 9 hours to get good restorative sleep. And then it's like you spend now 18 hours of your day. So you have 18 hours of your day out of your 24. You only have 6 hours left. You have 6 hours left. Obviously, normally, like, for instance, in that situation, you're going to take some time to get ready. So unfortunately, it takes me way too long to get ready, but normal people probably not that long, but at least an hour. So even if it took you an hour, now you have 5 hours. And what if you were, like, wanted to work out? If you wanted to spend some time, like, exercising or spending time with your family? So every day, if you decided to exercise or spend time with your family or cook food or make food for yourself, you have 5 hours. You have 5 hours in your day. It's just like, I couldn't possibly do that. And I don't remember how I was going to connect that. And I'm sure someday I'll remember. I'll be like, this is what I was talking about, and this is why I came into that. But my thought is just like, when you really break it down, it's like, that's so nice. It's so nice to have all those toys. It's so nice to have all the beautiful home. It's so nice to have all the money. It's so nice to have so many nice things. But you trade your whole life. You trade your entire life. It's everything. It's every day. Granted, you get some time in the car. So, like, especially like that, if you have a 2-hour commute, 1 hour there, 1 hour back, whatever you want to listen to, podcast, music, whatever it is, you get to enjoy your shit. But I don't know, man. I just can't believe it's like, that's just so much of your time. And I really wish I could connect why in the world I was talking about that. But I don't know. Video games, somehow I went from video games, and then I went to golf, and then I went to that guy, and I guess that's just the fact. It's just exactly that. Like, for instance, you think about that guy. So, like, he's got 5 hours in his day, maybe 5 hours in his day if he gets ready in an hour. So if he shaves and showers and shits and all that stuff in 1 hour, he's got 5 hours in his day. And then again, it's like, you think about, like, taking up a hobby like golf. Like, you think about taking up something like that. It's insane. It's like, again, you play one time, which you're normally going to be shitty. You're normally going to be terrible if you play one time, and it's 5 hours, possibly. You know what I mean? Like I said, probably at least probably 4 hours if you decide to warm up, and then you talk with your buddies and guys afterwards. It just like, and then you again, you think about this guy. It's like he had dedicated his entire life basically. And then if you have some sort of hobby on the side, it's like, when do you see your family? When do you do anything? When do you do anything else? And I know we're all there. We've all been into that. And I guess it just, I don't know. I guess if I didn't have this outlet where I could speak and say things like that, I would probably feel the same way. But sometimes it's just like, it's everything. It's your whole life. It's your entire life is now spent. You know what I mean? And then if you try to even pick up one hobby, it's like now you're not even spending time with your family. Now you're not even seeing anybody. So like your kid's just gonna grow up. Like I was thinking about that the other day. Like I'm blessed to be able to spend time with my son and blessed to get my work out of the day at this point in my life. And who knows, that could change at any time. But like I'm blessed at this point to be able to like pick him up and spend time with him in the afternoon. But it's just like some people, you know, it's like you have somebody else that you don't even know necessarily if all of your values align with that person. You don't even know if everything that you believe about life and raising children is the same things that they believe. It's just the person that at this point is, you know, hopefully best qualified to be watching your child and taking care of them. But then if that's the case, it's like, you know, you say you're only spending like 2 hours a day with them. Like if you came home and picked up your kid and it's like 7 p.m. and then they go to bed at 9 and then you guys got to do it back all over the next day. It's like, I guess again, you have that next hour in the morning, but does that really count when they're slamming food in their face and showering and brushing their teeth and getting dressed and just basically trying to get their backpack on and get ready and go to school? It's like, does that really count as good quality time? It's amazing. It's amazing how much time passes. It's amazing how quickly it passes. It's amazing how little we really truly have, and yet people just, that's where I just don't understand, like a hobby like golf, or again, like I even can't let myself enjoy something really close to home where I can so easily say like I can fuck off for like an hour or two or whatever. But it's like I feel so guilty doing that. I feel so guilty, especially if every week I was just like, all right, these are my 2.5 hours that I get to play play video games this week. And that's where I just don't understand where other hobbies could possibly come in, and maybe I just need to allow myself some more time to relax. But I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'd be curious to see what everybody else has to say about that. I'm glad that I finally connected that. Like I was like, how in the world did I get from video games to golf to working to all that? But I guess it makes sense in my mind. It probably doesn't make sense. Everybody's like, no, I am not following you through there. I can't comprehend that, unfortunately. But yeah, honestly, I'd love to be able to do Twitch. I'd love to figure out how the whole Twitch thing goes. Like, I don't know if you need to buy something. I should really just look it up. That's the dumbest thing to say, is like, I see people do it, and it's like, at least at that point, if you did want to spend some time playing video games, you could say, well, hey, I'm Twitch streaming, you know what I mean? And then, or my son, I want my son to do it too, because he obviously likes to video game as well. And it's like, he could easily Twitch stream. Like, sometimes I wish he wouldn't narrate what he's saying. Sometimes I'm like, can we just play? You don't need to tell me what you're doing. But he watches those videos of those kids that do Minecraft and stuff, and I am absolutely 100% blown away. I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't even realize, dude, it'll be 24 hours since they posted it, and it'll be like 7 million views. It'll be 24 hours since it was recently posted. It'll be like 45 million views. And you know what it is? I think it's a babysitter. I really honestly think, because like I said, I'll be in there and we'll be playing like video games or something. So then like on his computer, on his little Chromebook, it'll be playing. He'll have like his Chromebook playing with like these YouTubers. The particular one that was playing at the time was Preston. So Preston plays this kid. He is amazing. He gets more views than I've ever seen in my entire life. It's insane. But my thought is maybe a lot of people use this as like a babysitter. Like possibly, like for instance, you just think about like I don't know, maybe there's a lot of adults that follow him as well, but my thought is it's very good kid material. And so it's like, if you just think about that just makes me think about where does all that views come from. And it's not that adults wouldn't watch it, it's just a matter of, it seems more like it's geared for kids. And so it's just like, to think about that many kids watching in that short amount of time is absolutely incredible. It's awesome. And maybe their demographic is completely not that. It was just maybe my son that was watching it. But no matter what, the view count is absolutely insane and super impressive, and I just can't even believe that that's possible. But pretty cool that they can even do that. I was just watching those with my son, or they were coming over I just, some of the things about video games, I'm like, I can't understand how they, how like my son, I can't even fathom the way he wants to spend money. Like the way he will take real money in the real world and spend it in his fake life in the fake world. It blows me away. Like he will take $7, $8 of real money to buy one skin in Fortnite, and it blows me away. I'm like, but that's probably the same reason I haven't figured out NFTs, because I'm like, I can't fathom spending my real life money in the real world on something in the fake world for my fake life. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Even when they're giving you values, like when they want to translate how much so you understand, it's like they give you the value, like this is equal to blank in US dollars, and it's like, but it's not US dollars, or I don't know. Someday I'm gonna figure it out. It'll be like that video when they look back, when they were showing the first like news anchors trying to review the internet, and they were like, what is it around? Is it about? They were looking at the @ symbol, and they like had no idea what the internet was. They're like, what is the internet? I mean, that's gonna be me playing this back to myself in years now from about like, what is NFTs? But don't know, don't get it, haven't figured it out yet. Somebody should explain it to me. I've had people explain it to me. Unfortunately, I still don't get it. I don't know what it is. I've heard it over and over again. I don't know. I don't know. Some part of my body, I guess, just like tunes out. I feel like I'm being scammed. That's probably the problem. It's probably one of those things that sounds too good to be true, but it's like maybe it's not actually too good to be true. Yep, if I was smart, I'd get my son Twitch streaming. He's been super focused lately. Not even necessarily just on video games, but on anything. Like he's been building his Legos, and he's just been going just hardcore. Like he'll just page after page after page, super focused, which is really cool. I was trying to think, like the only thing that has changed is like I start giving him fish oil. Like he's always had a fairly good vitamin regimen. Like he has B12, D3, quercetin. And then, like I said, I started giving him fish oil. And I think when I started giving him fish oil, it just seemed like it changed. Like if ever at any point was like, hey, he has a problem, he has ADD, I think the first thing obviously to do would be to look at his diet. And I think that for a lot of kids. But it's like, I swear, again, as soon as I introduce fish oil to his diet, so he's having it probably at least once a day, it makes a huge difference. And maybe it's a combination of all the vitamins that he's taking, just ensuring that he's constantly got a good amount of them and he's eating the right things and he's healthy. But I don't know, sometimes I worry, like they said he was in the 97th percentile for weight, which I'm like, I know that means that he's very heavy, but he's a bulky kid. I don't know, they called me bruiser as a kid, I was a big kid as well. But I don't know, eventually I think I thinned out at one time or another. But it just seems like having a calmer and more focused and more relaxed kid. I was like, what can I attest this to? I mean, honestly, I feel so lucky sometimes. I'm just like, so I was like, dude, I sometimes I literally sit there while I'm like shaving, and I'm like, I am so grateful that I have such a calm, good kid. It's amazing. And I don't know, his mom tells me that, like, she's like, he misbehaves around me because he loves me. Like he has to, he shows his true self around me. And I just think like, every time I'm there, I can't stand it. One time I had to talk to him. Like I've let it happen where I just let it fly and I let him behave how he behaves at his mom's, because I'm like, I don't want us to step on each other's toes when we're around each other, because I know she's got one way of parenting him and I have an entirely different way of parenting him. But I can't stand it. I can't stand the way that he acts when he. But again, her philosophy is like, well, he's showing his true self. But I'm like, fuck that, dude. I can't let him behave that way. But he's got, I don't know, I think he's a great kid. The other day I had my phone or the tablet, I can't remember which one it was, or it was probably my phone, but he was still on the Bluetooth speaker. So we had this like one Bluetooth speaker, and I had it like cranked all the way up, so basically the highest volume on the Bluetooth speaker. And we was right before bed, and I tried to start my meditation, and he was like, it's like somebody's yelling in a calm voice. And I don't know why I laughed laughed so hard. I just thought it was so funny that he's like, somebody's screaming in the really calm voice, because it was like the loudest thing ever, but there was no like, it's obviously a meditative. I mean, there's no way to explain it. I have the Waking Up app, so it's like Sam Harris's app. Dude, the other day I was doing that app, and I shouldn't say I was doing it, but like I was meditating, right? And like one of the things that he did is Sam Harris asked us to picture ourselves. He said, try to give love to yourself. And he said, this is normally really hard, right? Because it's like hard to love yourself. But he asked us to picture ourselves as a little kid, and it was the craziest exercise ever, man. Like I cried and cried. Like I was looking at little me, and I cried so hard, and it was so crazy. It was like, again, it almost sounds like I guess it could be easy to be judgmental and say that it was corny or something to say like love yourself or whatever it is, but literally, like he said, picture this younger version of you. And I just pictured this. I just wanted to hug me so much. Like I almost want to cry right now just talking about it. I know it sounds stupid, but I just he just says, look for the younger version of you. And I just was looking at little me, and I wanted to hug myself so bad. And it was, I can't even believe I'm crying. It's so stupid. But it was just crazy. It was so crazy. God, that's so silly. I can't even believe that. I was looking for something to wipe my face with, but I don't really have anything else to use it's just crazy. It was like I guess you don't really think about it sometimes, but like to see yourself as a little kid and just wonder. Well, the first thing I could think is just to give myself a hug. You know what I mean? Like, God, that kid, he seems so angry, and it's like, that's not even him. I feel so stupid. I don't know. I don't mean to, but yeah, it's not even really. I don't know. It's not something to be worked up about, but I just couldn't believe it. I was like, man, that's crazy. It's just one of those things where you're like basically going in to meditate, like just trying to be more mindful, just like trying to be more aware of my surroundings, and it gives you a little bit more time. You're just like at least thinking before you do things typically, and at least having an opportunity to take a deep breath, and you think about it again, and it just reminds you that like your emotions are going to come, but just as easily as they come, they seem to go. And it's like, you know what I mean, you all of a sudden are like, oh, I was angry, but unless I continue to remind myself of the narrative, unless I continue to remind myself of what I was angry about, it'll actually go away pretty quickly. And it's kind of weird. It's like, I've definitely been in situations where it's easier said than done. Like there's been times where I felt like I was up a creek without a paddle. Like I remember when my car broke down, when my engine just stopped working, and I was just thinking like, this is the end. I was like, there's no way I'm going to recover from this. And I was so fortunate that my mom was able to help me at the time, and she was so generous. I never would have been, you know what I mean? But it's nice to have those people around you. It's like you always think about people that either their parents have passed or just don't have either a good relationship. And I've definitely had times where I've been in and out of good relationships with my parents, but always just nice to have somebody around you that can help you in those situations. And I don't know, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah, I definitely, when I was younger, I think I was sad about like my dad being in prison. I think like, for instance, I think about my son now, and he's 7 years old. And so like all of the life that my son has lived, he has lived, I would have lived without my dad. So like my dad didn't come around until I was like 9 or 10 years old. So then it's like, I'm, all this time, all the things I've learned about my son, all the days I've spent, all the things I've been there to learn with him. Like, my dad just wasn't there. Even still, it's like my son's 7 years old. My dad still wouldn't have been there. He still wouldn't have seen any of these things. And I just think about, that's the longest period of time. And you just wonder, like, well, I don't wonder. I know that was on my mind. That was something I was thinking about. That was tough. It was one of those things that, I don't know. Again, I never want to fuck that up. Like when my son looks up at me and he wants a hug, it's the best thing in the entire world. It's the coolest thing. I'm so thankful for those moments. I'm so thankful for those times when he just wants to, he does. Just like I said, you wish you could be there for yourself, but you can certainly be there for your child. And it's like, it's one of those weird things that like, I feel like sometimes it's like I've spent 32 years, right? So like I spent all this time, and whether you could say you were successful or unsuccessful, in my situation, I personally feel like it's like, okay, I wasn't always the best son, I wasn't always the best brother. But if I've tried for 32 years and I still can't figure it out, if I still fuck up trying to be a good sibling, or I still fuck up trying to be a good son, but now I have a son, should I really be putting my focus into that? It's like, can I really possibly justify spending energy? Just like I was saying earlier, when you have so little, when you have so little time, when you have so little energy, after you work and after you take care of your obligations and you sleep and do whatever it is you need to do, is it easy to justify that? I just I don't know. I know I don't want to mess that up. I know I don't want to mess that up with my son. I just, I definitely want to always be there for him, and just seems like if I take that time, if I take that time focusing on, not that you can't do it all, but sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if you can do it all. I think sometimes it's like I felt like I had to hang up my hat. I had to like hang up my hat as far as trying to be a good brother, or hang up my hat and trying to be a good son. Because it's like, if we have this little amount of time, if we have this little amount of energy to offer after our obligations, is it not fair to my son to spend that on him? Does he not deserve, it's like in that one gentleman's time, if he has 5 hours a day, if he has 5 extra hours a day beyond showering and going to the bathroom, to even include getting meals and stuff, does your kid not deserve as much of that as you can possibly give him? And it's like, it just seems like if I've tried for so long, if I tried for all this time and I still can't figure it out, I still can't figure out how to be a good son. If I've tried for all this time and I still can't figure out how to be a good brother, shouldn't I spend that time and spend that energy on trying to be a good dad? It just seems like that's where my energy should go. It just seems like that's where my energy's deserved, right? It's like Breck deserves that more than anything. And I can't believe how much this is crazy, but, I don't know. Yeah, completely changing the subject I was thinking about. I don't know. One of the other things I was thinking about recently, aside from something that's, Jesus, so emotional, not sure why, for goodness sake, but there's it just seems like I would spend so much more money on clothes if I was allowed. Like, I just realized one of my huge, like, addictions, so to speak, like one of the things that I use as an outlet, it's like you feel like you're knocking things out, right? It's like, I try to use less caffeine. I try to, not drink, try to, of course it's like I don't do drugs or anything like that I did from my past, but like, it's like you try to be clean in so many ways. And now I don't even remember why I'm talking about that. Oh, but it's like I realize I still have these silly addictions, and it's not until like you're like maybe your finances get tighter, or it's like over the holidays you're spending money on other people, right? You're like buying gifts, so that's a good time where you're like not necessarily having lots of extra money. But it just seems like one of my other outlets is like I like to spend my money on like clothing, and I don't know what it is. Like you end up having to do it, I think, and I know every parent is like, duh, you just have to do that. But what do you do with them after, because like it's so much fun to be able to buy your kids clothes. And again, I would buy so much more if I had the money to, but it's just like you have to buy a certain reasonable amount. But I was just wondering, like, you buy these clothes for your kids and you love them, right? It's like, or maybe you don't, maybe somehow you just came across a bunch of clothes, or you got them given to you or something. But like in my case, most of the time, if I pick them out, like I really like these clothes that I'm putting my son in, and he has, such a small period of time that he's going to spend in them, right? He's going to spend almost no time in them. So when you're getting rid of them, it seems like they've worn them just like you could count the amount of times on one hand. And it's like, so they're in such great shape. So it's like, I've taken them to Goodwill. I've given them to my sister, because like my sister does have a little boy that's much younger, but it almost seems silly. Like, I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, it's going to be so long before that kid possibly gets to use them that just her having to store them, you wonder what that's worth. You know what I mean? It's like, if you could put a price on all the times you have to move them and store them and restore them, does that have a number on it? Because if it does, maybe it's worth all of these clothes. But I just wonder what people do. It's like, you know, I would buy way more if I could. I love to buy clothes. I don't know what it is, especially when they're for your kids. It seems like it's just fun to outfit them and fun to get them dressed and give them, you know, it's like, especially if I buy something like that Breck likes. Like when I bought him like a bunch of Marvel stuff, he loved it so much. He loves his little Marvel shirts. But I just I don't know. It's funny. He actually, there's another show that he watches. It's called I think it's like more or assembly required, something with assembly required. So there's like something assembly required, and there's this kid in it that like likes clothes a lot, and Breck's like, that's my favorite character. And it's like, I think you're supposed to be concerned about that as a dad, and like worried, like, oh no, he likes the kid that likes clothes, like, oh, you know. But it's like, I think that's really cool that I'm like, I bet it has no connection to that. Like, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think Breck's hair looks like that kid, and I wonder if somebody else told him that, like, wow, you look like your hair is the exact same as that kid in some assembly required. But I don't know what it is. It could be that. I just I don't know. I'm not worried about that at all. It's funny. My mom, she just went overboard on that. She was like constantly concerned about it. Like, I remember one time she was like, do you want to watch your brother in the shower? And I was like, Mom, no, I don't. I almost think that's a really weird question to ask me, honestly. But I was like, I can assure you that I don't. But she would always, I don't know, she always applied things like, we have this place that was like, said it was world renowned in my hometown for cinnamon rolls. And I don't know if that's true, but I was having a cinnamon roll this one time, and it was like down on our couch in our basement. And I got cinnamon roll icing all over the couch sidearm. And of course, when my mom came in there, I guess she just thought that I came everywhere. And so she just was like, I don't know. So my point being, she mislabeled a lot of things, including maybe my desire to want to watch my brother in the shower. But my point in saying all that is, I'm not going to get concerned that my son likes this character on this show that likes clothes, because like I would do the same thing. Like I said, if I had more money, I think that would be one of my biggest outlets. But I think it's because you get, and I shouldn't say you, I should speak for myself, but I think I get some sort of like cortisol release or oxytocin or whatever the fuck it is, or whatever happens in your head when you get, you know, like you're on a drug or you eat sugar or carbs or whatever your vice is, what's fried food, whatever it is that you like that you shouldn't be doing. I think we just get this shot in our head, and it's like, that's what I mean. You try to get rid of all these things. You try to get rid of sugar, you try to get rid of carbs, you try to get rid of fast food, you try to get rid of fried food, you try to get rid of caffeine, you try to get rid of everything. And then it's like, you still have, I find myself, I still have something, I still want to like spend money on clothes, or I want to, you know, like I said, it can be easily justified because kids grow out of them so darn fast. And I'd be curious to see what other people do with them. Like, do you save them? Do you just take them to Goodwill and just hope to goodness somebody else is going to get them, even though they're so gently used and they're in such good shape, to give them to your family? I feel like if I take them one of those places, my sister's always like, you should take them one of those places where they give you money for it. I just know I would take that, like, realistically, it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of clothes. I'd take hundreds of dollars worth of clothes and then possibly even hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of toys. You know, it's not like I bought that all at one time, but over the course of his childhood, if I still have a large amount of clothes, and then of course all the toys that now he's outgrown, and they're going to be like $20. Well, I'll give you $20, because I know they have to make a profit, and it's not like I'm not respecting that they have a business to run and they have to pay employees and they have to pay for labor and all these things. But it's just like, that hurts me somehow more than just giving it away, than just giving it to somebody, like giving all these clothes that I've just recently bought to anybody that could possibly use them, than getting $20. It seems like more of a slap in the face. But I don't know. I'll be right back with you guys. All right, I'm back. but only for a minute because I got to go pick up my son here real quick. You know what I was thinking is it's crazy how similar like the fitness path is to drug addiction. Like honestly, I started my exercise, and I know everybody's like nobody cares, prove it, we don't give a fuck. But like I was thinking it's crazy because it's like February, right? And like I started my exercise routine on February 15th of 2021. Well, like I started doing more. Like I'd always done something, but like I got to a point where I was like, this is not enough, and I was like, I need more. So I added an additional program. So I do these more. But anyway, point being, it's been like a year, right? And I'm literally at a point where like I'm scared to stop. I know it sounds crazy, but that's where I say it's so similar to drug addiction. Like when you start a drug, you're like, you're almost, you convince yourself in some way or another that you can't possibly stop, that you can't live your life without it, that you won't be able to continue being the same person or being seen in the same way if you don't continue to do it. And it's weird, like I feel the same way about fitness. It's like if I don't continue to do this, I'm literally like scared to stop. It's weird how similar drug addiction is to fitness. It's crazy. It's a good replacement. It's a much better replacement, but it's like you look at it when you're younger, right? And you're like, fuck that, I'll never do that shit, right? And then you're like, after a while, maybe you don't like what you see in the mirror anymore. You're like, okay, I could probably use some improvement, right? You're I just think it's crazy how similar it is. But maybe you try it with a friend, right? You the first time on a whim, like you just get your first taste, and then you're just like, wow, it's the first time I felt alive. And it's like, you don't know how to do it yet, right? You're not really sure exactly how to make it happen. So you kind of just have to wait for another free taste from your friends. I guess if it was fitness, it'd be like a guest pass at a gym with one of your buddies, but you still just don't know how to make it happen. So you're just like, man, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but it feels good. You start doing it by yourself, and you're like, all right, I got to keep this going. But it just seems like, I don't know, it seems like there's too many similarities to like you get your fitness path going and you just really get on a cruise, like on cruise control going through it. It's like it's almost the same thing on the other side. Like it's the weirdest thing. But I just think you look at people where like they've gotten stronger and they've been able to. Because I think that's the whole thing. It's like I just think about when I broke my foot, and I just think about when my heel broke in those 3 places, and it's just like if I'm thankful that I can do these things, and I'm thankful that I can still move my body, and thankful that I can still be agile, then I think that's the key. I think just to be grateful that I'm able to do it still, and just to continue is the thing to do. Because it's like if I tell myself, I need rest, or if I tell myself I need more restoration, or if I tell myself I'm not doing enough, which I have to say I can't believe. Like I remember when I first started doing that, they had us take notes, right? When I first started doing that, because I did it for like this program. And so like I remember on day 35, I started taking glutamine, and it was one of those things that like I'd never taken before, but I saw it helps you, and I could look it up. But okay, I started taking this. Let me see what it is. So glutamine. Glutamine is an amino acid that is used in the biosynthesis of proteins. Its side chain is similar to that of glutamic acid, except the carbolic acid group it replaces by an amide. So it says, which is more glutamine's special role in intestinal health. Your body naturally produces this amino acid, and it's found in many foods. It's an important amino acid for many functions in the body. So whatever it is, for some reason on that 35th day, I started taking glutamine, and it changed. I felt like I had energy. So just here recently, I ran out of it, and it was crazy. Like I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it's been literally just over a year that I've been taking it, or who knows, whatever, February 15th, 35 days plus that in 2021, that was when I started taking it, and now it's February again. So it seems like it's been about a year, but I just ran out of it, and I haven't bought more. I actually did buy more, but it hasn't came yet. I ordered it, and I don't even think they've shipped shipped it to me yet, but maybe they're just super busy. But the particular company I was buying it from, I stopped buying it from, and I started buying it from somebody else, and none of that matters. But the crazy thing is like, I guess my thought in saying that is like, I notice it. I 100% notice not having the energy. So I don't know what it is, but if you guys work out, or you just feel like you're weak, or you feel like sometimes you get up to do your workout and you don't have enough, and I'm not a doctor, so you can't take my recommendations, but I just, for some reason, glutamine, when I didn't have enough, or I didn't have the money at the time to buy it, bought it from somebody else. Now it hasn't come. It just, the period of time that I wasn't taking it is so noticeable. It's crazy. And another thing I noticed is like, why is it when you look at it so often, it's got like the L in front of it? Are you supposed to pronounce the L? It's so weird. Anything that I've seen written, that like, for instance, this I just looked up on the computer by myself. Anything I've seen written, I never know exactly how to pronounce it. Like, there was years and years that I thought the word awry was Ari. I literally pronounced the word awry as Ari for years because I didn't ever hear somebody else say it. I just thought, well, that's how you say it. It's Awry. It's Ari. It's Ari, right? But no, obviously it's not. That was one of those things I learned the hard way. I think I tried to quote Of Mice and Men, and somebody was like, what did you just say? What? It goes Ari? And it goes awry. But anyway. Yeah, can't remember where I was going with that. Oh yeah, just talking about glutamine, and it's like, most of the time when you buy the supplement, it's L-glutamine, and I'm like, are you supposed to say L-glutamine? Do you say L-glutamine, or do you just say glutamine? It's like that other stuff, theanine. Do you say L-theanine, or do you just say theanine? Because like when you buy the supplement, it says L-theanine. Are you supposed to say the L? Do you just let the L go? I don't know. It's one of those things I don't know. Only seen it read, only read it, never heard it said. Don't know what to do. You guys can put that in the comments. Respond by email. I gotta pick up my kid. I'm supposed to leave in 2 minutes, so I better leave. But it was awesome to chat with you guys this week. Sorry I was a big baby. What's that all about? How did that happen? Jeez Louise, didn't know I was gonna break down. Oh my goodness, what happened? What is this, a seminar? But no, that was dumb. But it was good to chat with you guys. I look forward to chatting with you soon. If I didn't have to leave in 2 minutes, I would stay longer. But I gotta go pick up my kid. And I love you. Can't wait to chat with you again. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.